Did you know that you can respond to my emails? If you're on those Canine Chronicles and you're getting my emails, did you know that you can respond to those emails, reply to those emails, ask me a question, and your question may inspire a 3-part series featuring you and your question? It's true because it's happening today. Today, that exact thing is happening for my good friend, Karen, who sent me an incredible question, and I'm going to feature it here. And as I was making notes for Karen, because I'm very thorough, it's turned into a 3-part series. So make sure that you grab your notebook, grab your pen, because today we are talking about a great topic, dog-to-dog introductions, the basics of how to introduce a new dog into your pack, into your family. We're doing that today. Let's get into it. Are you worried that your fearful dog may hurt someone or something else? Do you have to prepare just to take a walk around the block? Hi, I'm Tracy, and I too had that dog, the one that you could only walk at nighttime when no one else was around. And I felt ashamed, and oh gosh, I wish that people could just see the dog that I know and love. I wanted the confidence to be able to walk my dog and not have to worry about who or what was around the corner. And I kept telling myself that if I just keep doing obedience drills and distracting with treats, that things would get better. Until I found the secret. Fear is not something that you can train out of a dog. In this podcast, you will find tips to help build your dog's confidence naturally, communication and understanding to foster that trust, and how to address those fear-based behaviors effectively so that you can enjoy a stress-free life with your dog. So if you're ready, stop chopping those chicken wieners, grab your notebook, and let's get to it. Hello, and welcome to Beyond Obedience. I am your host, Tracy. I'm kind of excited about this episode. Special shout out to my new friend, Karen, who sent in this question. She answered one of my emails. If you are not on my list, if you're not a pen pal of mine, please make sure that you do so, because you could ask questions. You can send me pictures of your dogs. You might be featured on this podcast. You and your dogs could be featured on this podcast. You know, eventually we might even get to a point where we'll do interviews on this podcast. That would be fun. We could do that. But how are you going to do that? How are you going to know about that? You have to be a pen pal with me. So here's how you do it. You go to beyondobedience.ca. You're going to hang on that page for a little bit, and a menu is going to pop up. It's going to say, hey, do you want to be part of the Canine Chronicles? You give me your name, you give me your email address, and that's it. We're pen pals, right? You're going to get our weekly digest of what's going on here on the podcast. You can ask me questions. You might be featured in Question of the Week. You can send me pictures of your dogs. I love that stuff. So if you haven't, do it now. beyondobedience.ca. Hang on the page, sign up for those Canine Chronicles, because you could be like Karen, who sent me this message, and she said, hi, Tracy. I love everything that you do. That's nice. Thank you. I adopted a 6-month-old puppy last week, and I have an 8-year-old little guy with epilepsy. I'm in buyer's remorse stage at the moment. Oh my gosh, we've all been through that, Karen. The puppy, Howie, is awesome. He's going to be an amazing dog. Oh, that's amazing. I am feeling guilty about how my older dog Tucker is doing, though. He's not one to play or interact. He's a lover. He likes to lay in the sun, then the shade, etc. Oh, he sounds like a great dog. I honestly hoped Howie would bring out the puppy in Tucker, but it's not going to happen. I realize it's early days, but I know my dog. Howie's learning that Tucker doesn't want to play, but Tucker keeps getting run into when Howie does his flyby. So yeah, I'm feeling like a bad mama now. So I'd love a podcast post or whatever on introducing a new puppy to a household with a current dog. And she also has some other puppy questions. But let's focus on that, because that is a great question. Introduction of dog to your household. So let's get into it. I want you to grab a pen and a paper, especially for this first episode. If you are someone who is thinking about getting another dog, you haven't done it yet. I know for Karen, this ship has sailed. Howie's already there, and he's great. And I'm sure she already loves him to pieces. So This doesn't necessarily apply to Karen, but if you are someone who is thinking about getting another dog, I want you to get out a pen and paper right now. And the very first thing that I want you to do before you get a puppy, before you even start looking, or before you get any dog at that, for that matter, before you even start looking, I want you to put in big letters at the top of your paper, why? W-H-Y. Why? Why do you want another dog? This is such an important question because it's going to set up a litmus test for when you go and look at the dog or the puppy. Okay, this is why I want you to go through this exercise. So please don't skip this. If you're just like, I've already found the puppy, Tracy, I'm going to get it on Saturday. Just now stop and do this exercise for me anyway. Okay, I want you to say why. Why do you want a dog? Why do you want another dog? Why do you want the puppy? What is the reasoning behind it? Okay. Is it like Karen and you're thinking that a puppy might bring in a little bit of youthful play and exuberance to your current dog? Is that the reason? Is it because, I don't know, you work all day and you think it'd be nice for your dog to have another companion in the house when you're not there? You know, whatever it is, no right or wrong here, just write it down. I want you to write it down. Okay. Then after that, I want you to think about what kind of dog, not just breed, that is important as well. I mean, gosh, honestly, now that I'm thinking about this could be a 7-part series. I want you to think about what stage of life you want the dog. Do you want a puppy, like a young puppy? So under 6 months. Do you want an adolescent? Right? So 6 months to 2 years, that's an adolescent. Do you want an older dog? Do you want a mature dog? Do you want perhaps a senior dog? Whatever kind of dog you want, I want you to write down why you want that dog. Perhaps you don't want a puppy because you've had puppies in the past and you're like, that's a banana beans crazy time period. I don't have the time to invest in training the puppy. I don't want a puppy, whatever it is, but I want you to start to really write down all those things. If, for example, you are like, I kind of want an older puppy, so I want to be out of the potty training stages, but I still want a young dog. We're going to ask you why. Why do you want that? What are the reasons? Because I will say there's advantages and disadvantages to all of these. Okay. So I want you to be aware of that. For example, and I just kind of mentioned it, if you're getting a puppy, so under 6 months of age, even younger, you have to think about housebreaking and all of the basic training, right? That's a thing. And if you're like me and haven't had a puppy in a while, for any of you that have been following me for a while, you know that I have a Jack Russell. She's now a year, but I hadn't had a puppy, like an actual puppy in like 8 years. And, oh man, I forgot about puppies. I forgot about puppies. There's the getting up at nighttime, letting them out. There's crate training. That's fun. There's body, housebreaking and all of that good stuff. So lots of work with that puppy stage. It's a lot of work. If you're talking about that adolescent puppy, that's probably the hardest stage. I'm not going to lie. Karen's like, what? Tracy, why? Now are you telling us? No. Karen got a 6-month-old puppy. That's the hardest stage. It's the hardest stage because this is the age where your puppy is coming into adolescence. There's hormonal changes and shifts that are happening. There is the testing, so much testing, right? It's the rebellious stage. It's because they're starting to figure out who they are, right? They're testing things. What happens if I do this? What happens if I do that? Can I get away with this? Can I push the boundaries here? It's the adolescent stage. It's a tough stage, right? And then if you want a mature dog, that is, let's say 2 to 4 years old, those dogs, if you're bringing in a mature dog, they are already perhaps set in their ways. They have already gone through adolescence and they have an idea of who they are. That could be a good or bad thing. I don't know. Depends on the dog. And then, of course, we have our senior dogs, our mature dogs, right? So, and those come with lots of different challenges. They are definitely set in their ways. Doesn't mean, don't get me wrong, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. You can teach old dogs new tricks, right? But they are set in their ways, and they may have some habits that you might not like, or they may have some health challenges that you might not be prepared for. There's lots of different things to consider when we're talking about what stage of life we want when we're talking about adopting another dog. Okay? So I want you to just kind of write all those things out. I want you to think about that. These are the kind of things too that you can bounce ideas off of, a trainer or someone like me. If you're a pen pal with me, if you're on my list, you could send me those questions. I'll help bounce ideas back and forth. I'll let you know some of my experiences of the different stages of dog. Anyway, you need to know. Write it down. Okay? And then after that, you're going to do the same exercise that I get people that are getting a puppy. That I want you to do this. Especially if you have a dog currently and you're thinking about getting another dog, you've decided you're going to get a mature dog, you're going to get an adolescent, whatever you decide. I want you to close your eyes. I'm closing my eyes right now, just doing this. I want you to close your eyes and I want you to picture your life with your dogs. What does that life look like? So for those of you that perhaps said, I want my dog to have a companion during the day, while I'm not at home, while I'm at work. I feel bad for my dog because he's home all day by himself. I want you to think about, what do you think these dogs are going to be doing while you're not home? What do you think they're going to be doing? What are your expectations? I'm kind of laughing because I've had this conversation with many people, and when I get them to do this exercise, they're always like, "Well, I'm hoping that they're just going to be lying down being good." And I kind of laugh. I'm like, okay, which is what your current dog is doing right now, right? Like your current dog does that. So you're hoping that 2 dogs will do that. And the reason why I say that is because sometimes we think in our heads that dogs would like a companion dog or like another dog to be around. But at the same time, we don't want dogs running around acting like crazy fools while we're not home. We don't want them to be just running around partying like, when we're not there. So these are the things I need you to think about if you're thinking about bringing home another dog, right? What are your expectations? Now I want you to think about like where's the new dog going to sleep, right? Where's the new dog going to eat? I want you to think about all of those things. And the reason why I want you to think about that, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that when you actually get the dog, but I want you to think about it now. Where are they going to sleep? How are you going to feed them? Because things are going to be different. Things are going to be different. Here's the thing. What does it mean to have more than one dog in your house? Because I will tell you this, and I'm not one that likes to brag or boast or whatnot, but if I could say the things that are in my wheelhouse, the things that I'm really, really good at as a dog professional, as a dog trainer, one of those things is the multi-dog household. I am really good at introducing dogs, at bringing in dogs as seamlessly as possible. I'm really good at it. I have a keen eye for canine conversations. I've been studying dogs for a very, very long time. I think since I was a little kid, honestly, I've been studying dogs. So I have a really keen eye for seeing dog conversations. I have a really keen eye now for understanding how dogs use levels, how dogs use resources, how dogs are saying little tiny things to one another. And here's the one thing that I know to be true, especially when it comes to the multi-dog household, is that dogs don't hold grudges. Okay, they really don't. It is true what they say. Dogs live in the now. They don't really hold grudges. But what they do is they do remember unfinished conversations. And I am really good at seeing conversations and seeing where things are going to potentially escalate. Because here's the reality of it. When we're talking about helping as dog trainers, when we're talking about helping people that have conflict in the home between dogs, it always comes and is introduced to us as it came out of nowhere. This idea that the dogs have always gotten along. They've always played well together. They even sleep in the same bed. They do all these things together. But now all of a sudden, out of nowhere, they're fighting. They're arguing. They got in a fight over a bone. They got in a fight over whatever. And I will tell you that over the years of watching canines or watching dogs together, I can tell you that that is never the case. I shouldn't say never. I never say never, because in some cases it's medical, right? That does happen. There are cases of medical, issues that happen where dogs start to have problems. But generally speaking, it is very unlikely, unless, in cases of medical, it's very unlikely that it came out of nowhere. What it is, in fact, is little tiny disagreements, little tiny disagreements that happen repetitively over a very long period of time, I might add. Right? This could happen in a year from now, 2 years from now, especially if you bring in a dog that is in its developmental stages. Right? If you bring in a dog that is a puppy or an adolescent into a home and it's going through those changes, figuring out some things, maybe the hormones are changing, all of that stuff. If that's happening and you miss some canine conversations, those things are going to come up later. It's not going to come up right away. It's going to come up later. So that's why it's important for you to not only recognize, your reasons why, but to start to picture what those expectations are. What does it mean to have a dog? And then make sure that you have some clarity on some canine conversations. And how do you get that? Oh, you could work with me. Oh, that was shameless. Look at me how I just put it. You put work with me because I'm great at that. No, but I'm just saying that is one of the things that I want people to understand. I want you to really understand that it does change things, that dogs don't hold grudges, but they do remember unmet or unfinished conversations. So we want to make sure that we are seeing those conversations and we know what to expect. Okay? So it's just something that I have been doing since I was a kid, honestly. I love observing dogs. And if you're into that kind of stuff, then hang out with me some more. Hang out with me some more, because you'll start to hear a little bit more about that as we go on. Okay? And here's the other thing that I always want people to recognize, right? This is the other part of when, especially if you're someone that's had one dog and you're happy with your dog and you're like, I think I might want another dog. Here's the one thing that I want you to remember, is that the moment you bring another dog in, there is a very good chance that your relevance is going to drop in your relationship with your dog. There's a very good chance that is going to happen, because the moment that we bring in another dog, you will always struggle to be more fun and more relevant than another dog in your house. You're always going to struggle with that. Okay, so that's the other thing that I want you to be aware of, that when you have one dog, you can be that dog's everything. You can be that dog's whole world. But when the moment you bring in another dog, that's where that's going to be a challenge. Does it mean that it's going to be impossible? No, of course not. That's what I talk about here on this podcast, right? Is being the best person, being somebody worth following. How do you make yourself more relevant to a dog? That's what we're talking about in a lot of these episodes. So you're just going to have to double down on it. Because now you got competition, my friend. Now you got competition. Okay? So there you go. That's going to be our before. And I'm going to summarize this now, and you're going to have to catch next week for episode number 2. And episode number 2 is actually going to be the actual introduction. So you've done all of this before work, okay? Let's recap. What do I want you to do before you get another dog? While you're still thinking about it, before you look at the adoption page on that Facebook group, okay? I want you to write down why. Why do I want this dog? Let's get clear on that. Why do I want this dog? Then I want you to think about, what stage of life do you want this dog to be, right? Puppy, adolescent, mature, geriatric, whatever it is, write it down. And then I want you to figure out why. Why do you want that? And write down the pros and the cons to that, right? Pros and the cons to a puppy very quickly. Pros and the cons to a puppy. The puppy is a blank slate, right? You get to write the script of that dog's life on that puppy, right? That's the nicest thing about having a puppy. It's a blank slate. You get to write that, right? The downside to a puppy, it's a blank slate. You got to teach them all that stuff, right? Adolescence. What's the upside to the adolescent? It's probably already been housebroken. It's probably already got some basic stuff if it was, in a household before you. Downside to adolescents, they're teenagers. It's the downside, they're teenagers, right? That's it. The upside of a mature dog, you've gotten through that testing, tweaking stage, but now you've got a dog that might be a little bit set in their ways, right? Might be a little bit set in their ways, but they're also going to be a lot more discerning about who they want to be around, right? They may have already decided they don't want to hang out with an older dog, or they may have their preconceived notions of types of dogs or energies that they want to be around. So it's going to be a little bit more challenging perhaps to find a good match for your dog. And then the older geriatric dogs, as I've mentioned before, we have health issues, sensory deprivations that happen, right? Dogs' personalities change a little bit when their senses start to diminish, when their eyesight starts to go, when their hearing starts to go. Those might be challenges, health challenges, all of those sorts of things. So there's pros and cons. The older dog, the geriatric dog, doesn't require a lot of energy. It might just be a nice companion for another older dog, right? Where they don't expect that much of it. There's pros and cons to each. You just need to know what they are, write them down. Then I want you to do that picture your life, right? Picture your life. That's step number 2 or 3. What are we on? 2. Doesn't matter. 2 or 3. Picture your life. Where's the dog going to eat? Where's the dog going to sleep? And we're going to talk about a lot of this in next week's episode because I really want you to. I'm going to give you some truths about especially adopting dogs that are going to help you out tremendously. I'm going to get rid of some of these. I'm going to help you basically set that up to succeed in a very, very strategic way. Because in a lot of cases where a lot of adopted dogs go wrong is we think emotionally about how we want this dog's life to be. We don't think about it strategically. And I'm going to give you the strategic way to think about bringing in a new dog into your home so that it is successful, so that your new dog doesn't feel out of place. All of that's good stuff. That's next week, okay? But I want you right now to picture your life. Where is the dog going to eat? Where's the dog going to sleep? What does that look like? Now you have 2 dogs to walk. What's that going to look like? Are you going to walk them together? Or are you going to walk them separately? What is that going to look like for you? I want you to think about that. What do you want from this new dog? Okay? And then I want you to think about, no, you know what? That's it. Just think about that. That's it. I don't want to make this too complicated. This is what I mean to say. This is a big, big topic, and I'm super, super excited about it. So, Karen, again, thank you for your email. Thank you for your email. I'm probably going to stop here because what are we? We're 22 minutes in. Absolutely. I'm going to stop here because we'll do the rest of this next week. Next week, we're going to be talking about the actual introduction. So you've thought everything through. You've got your whys. You've got all that stuff. Next week, we're going to be talking about the introduction. What to expect, what to do, all of the things. I'm really going to make that crystal clear for you so that you can do this in a way that makes you feel good. Okay. And one last thing, and this is what I said to Karen. I'm going to end with this. This is what I had said to Karen. I sent her a message back because the thing that hurt my heart the most was that she said she was feeling guilty. She was feeling like a bad mom. And what I asked Karen to do was to reframe this in her mind. Okay, so in her mind, she was hoping that a puppy would bring out a more youthful Tucker. Tucker's her older dog. And what I said to Karen instead is, we don't actually want that. We don't want that. What we want instead, and this is something for you all to think about, as I mentioned before, I've had in the past a pack of 19 dogs, and they were #just good dogs. 19 just good dogs. Anybody could come to my house, take any one of my dogs, take them for a walk, take them into town, take them wherever. Any person could do that, and they were good dogs. They walked well. They got along with other dogs. They were just good dogs. How did I do it? How did I end up with 19 just good dogs? Well, I'll tell you, it wasn't luck, right? I wasn't that lucky where I'd be like, well, man, she lucked out. She got 19 dogs and they were really good dogs. It wasn't luck. The way that happened was it started with one good dog. And so the thing that I want people to recognize and to realize, especially if you are in the stage of thinking about getting another dog, is that you do not want the new dog coming in to be the good influence on the dog you currently have, because it doesn't work that way, right? It doesn't work that way. So what you want instead is you want to be able to embrace the dog that you currently have and know that that is going to be the most influential on the new dog that's coming in. That your original dog needs to be what you want them to be, and they're going to influence the new dog coming in. It's not the other way around. You don't want a puppy coming in and influencing your dog's behavior, because puppies are crazy. Who wants that? Right? So instead, we're going to embrace Tucker, because Tucker loves to lay in the sun and lay in the shade, and he's obviously a very chill, great little guy. We want to embrace him, and then we want to be able to bring in Howie to be like, this is your best influence. This is your role model dog. And that's how you get 19 good dogs. Not that I recommend that. I should put that as a caveat. I'm not saying everybody go out and get 19 dogs. But what I will say is this as a final thought. It's a slippery slope. That's what happens. If you get one good dog and you realize and you put on and you invest all this time and energy and making sure that like you have this great relationship and this dog is amazing, then that dog becomes a great influence for the next dog. And then those two dogs become a great influence for the next dog. And before you know it, you have 19 dogs. It's a slippery slope, my friends. You got to watch yourself. I always say that to people, forewarning. You get into my stuff, you start working on relationship and you start getting into this stuff, slippery slope gets way easier to bring in more and more dogs. So that's your warning. Be warned. Be warned. Okay, there you go. Thank you very much, Karen, for your amazing question. This 3-part series will continue. Be sure to catch us next week when we're going to be talking about the actual introduction to the dog. So now you've done all the before stuff. You've done your research. You figured it out. Now we're going to give you the steps to how to actually introduce the dog so that you start to see those canine conversations, so that you start to get those expectations, so that you start to get this seamless introduction into your home to build your pack and build your family. All right, that's it for me today. As always, get out today and be the person that your dog thinks you are, because your dog thinks that you're amazing. And so do I. Have a great week, everybody, and we'll talk to you all next week. Bye for now.